welcome back, everyone, to the PMR podcast. This is episode 13. My name is Mitch. I'm an alcoholic addict.
What's up, guys? I'm Andrew. I'm an addict and alcoholic. Excited for this one.
Super excited for this one. And we wanted to shout out Steve-O again, as we always will. Last episode was awesome having him on. Um, it was great to finally have him on, put a face to the name. And we're just so thankful for him because he helps us. He's been a pivotal part of the podcast, even though he might not be visually on every episode. He's very much a part of every episode. So again, thank you to him. And he said a lot of really nice things about he and I's relationship. And I was also super grateful that he finally got to quote unquote meet Andrew.
Right. Right. I mean, dude, I had a lot of gratitude when we ended last week because it's so cool to see from the outside, like the gift of recovery for a friendship. Like you guys were tight anyway, right? But having having had your recovery like on his mind and the way that he's accepted it and almost like encouraged it and been such a part of it. I don't know, man. Like if I was you, I kind of try to put myself in your shoes. Like not that it would have been like an ego boost for me, but it's almost like such a strong reminder. Like this is why I'm doing this. Like this is why I'm sober because he's such a good friend. Like I don't know. I was kind of wondering where your head was at and what you felt like after we were done recording last week.
I think when I sat down and like re-listened to it, like I was driving and I re-listened to the episode, and like some of the stuff he was saying, I was just like smiling and so grateful. Like uh feels good to have someone that feels that way about you, you know, and I feel that way about him too. And like I feel like a lot of times uh you just don't say that sort of stuff unprompted to your friends, you know what I mean? Like, and
No.
so I don't know, it wasn't really so much as ego, uh just like warming, I guess. It was awesome.
Yeah. And the other thing too is he really wouldn't like, I was thinking about it too while he was on. Like, I don't know. I mean, I think we would have gone through and continued to do this, but his role in this podcast is so pivotal. Like, we wouldn't be where we are right now in terms of having recorded like every week and being able to put out episodes, on the dot Monday, like every single week. Like he's kept us on course.
Hmm.
So I'm
The
I'm really
tricycle.
grateful for him. I can't wait till we get the three boys together, right?
Yeah,
And
me
then
neither.
also too, like as I'm saying this, I'm thinking how difficult it is as a man sometimes, right? Like we are programmed or conditioned because of like masculinity or because how we grow up. Like we don't want to show our feelings. And like that's another reason why I was so grateful to just be in that space with you guys last week is like not to get all mushy in here, but like I mean there's a lot of love there, man. Like and that's not something I'm used to like having shoved down my feelings, created a wall, like numb myself for so long, seeing like two friends have such an intimate, tight relationship and be able to express it fully to one another is such a fucking beautiful thing, dude. Like, so again, I mean, it's funny because we didn't like have a full topic, but it was such a powerful experience. I think for us who like the three of us who took part in that podcast, like I think that episode has a lot of power.
I agree. I definitely agree. Yeah, that whole just bringing in a new perspective to us, you know, that's what we're getting every time we bring on a guest. So I think
Mm-hmm.
that's super beneficial. But today, um, we were talking, gonna try to delve into the spirituality progress or growth that we've had since getting into recovery. what that looks like today on a day-to-day basis, and a little bit of like what else we do outside of spirituality, like health and wellness wise,
Mm.
what that kind of looks like, and maybe what we had done, what we are doing, and what we would like to do. So covering stuff like that, which you brought up to me, and I was like, hell yeah, like I think that would be a great episode. So
Yeah, I'm honestly surprised we haven't covered it yet. Like
yeah,
seeing how important and how much it's changed, like for both of us through this process. Like, I mean, obviously, the one major change that I've seen, right, in sobriety is like I don't do drugs anymore. Okay, like great, like that's okay. That's the physical change that we see, like right, and I don't look like a shell of a human. Blah 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 blah. Like all the physical characteristics, but that's like if I'm gonna point to the things that like you can't see that have changed, I mean that's it. That's the top of the list. Like and that's why I was like, damn, like we really haven't talked about this yet. Like, not that either of us are spiritual gurus or anything like that, but just because I think we've both grown along spiritual lines, and that's what we do to stay sober. That's what we have to do to stay sober. Um, I think it's like it's such an important topic for us to talk about and to kind of normalize too in this space. Like, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go right into it, right? Like, I'm historically like I have and I think you've heard this in the halls too. Like, I had a big resentment against God. Like, uh, I prayed, right? I went to church. I was raised Episcopalian, so I was a Christian. My parents brought me to church most every Sunday. And I grew up thinking like I was religious and I had a relationship with a God. And uh, now looking back on what that relationship looked like and what that really meant was like how self-centered, like how selfish was I like in this relationship, right? Like, do you ever look back and like, and I don't know what it looked like for you. I truly don't. Um, but like, do you ever look back on the things like and have memories about the things that you prayed for?
yep,
Like, dude, like, no, that's tough to look at now. It's almost embarrassing. Like, I prayed for good grades. Like, I prayed that this chick would like a girl would like me and notice me. Like, I would pray that we'd win a game. Like, everything I prayed for was for my own advancement. Like, it had a
yeah,
selfish motive. Like, and I think that defined my whole relationship with God. Because what was I doing that whole time? I'm setting myself up for resentment. Like, I think we've said this even on the podcast before. I think maybe you taught me. I'm not sure, but like an expectation is a resentment in the making. Like, so I'm praying to God that, God, please, help this girl to think I'm cute and help me to win this basketball game and help me get an A on this test and help me to have plans with my friends this Friday. Like, and what?
get me out of this cop car.
Yeah. And like all of that stuff.
Yeah,
And I think like looking back, like I would pray for those things. And when they didn't happen, I would just be like, I'd just be waiting to be like, yeah, of course God doesn't exist. Like, how could God exist if all these things that I prayed for, they didn't happen?
yeah.
Like,
Well, it's kind
you
of
know
like
what I
while
mean?
you're saying that, I'm just thinking like, and I completely agree with you. And I was raised pretty much the same way in terms of, I think I was Lutheran, but uh, it's like a God of our control. I've heard that in meetings before. And we prayed to a God that was under our control. And when that God didn't deliver, it was like, that was just adding to that list of like, see, doesn't work, which gets you further and further from that, right? So I just wanted to add that.
right? So if God is my employee, right, then that gives me the power to fire God.
Hmm.
So like I fired God so many times. Like, oh, you didn't do a satisfactory job like fulfilling my demands and needs. So like I'm out. Like you haven't served me like the way that I need you to be like to be served, like the way that you need to be subservient to me. And when I think about how egotistical that is, like going into church, like no matter what faith that you have, right? It's a faith that millions, hundreds of millions, billions of people like believe in and study and devote lives to, like to go in there and to create like an image of God or a higher power in general that like yeah this is a, a universal force that is going to serve my end.
Yeah.
Like I mean dude, like I don't know, I mean did you feel that way? Like I know I'm not alone here. I mean it's insane. Like it's
Yeah.
insane.
I think I felt that way. I think that um I think when I was super young, we would go to church uh every Sunday and then started not going to church every Sunday because we my mom and I moved around a lot. And so because of that just couldn't get traction with like the same place. And then I ended up going to a what is it, Jesuit high school. And so we had like religion classes and prayer and stuff like that. And we had to like say prayer before class and stuff. And I kind of just I remember like looking forward to my religion class so I could point out what I thought was wrong with this, that, and the other to my professor, and like making them uncomfortable was something I got a rise out of. And like I was like, this is all bullshit, like yada yada yada. And it was kind of just like it wasn't a God of my understanding. So because it wasn't a God of my understanding, and because like I couldn't be like, that's my idea, I was like, fuck that, it can't be right. There's got to be, and I remember like my junior year of high school, I was like, I'm an atheist.
Yep.
And I was just an angry person. Um but yeah, let's talk about like how the growth a little bit into where we are now.
Right. Right. I mean just to like I mean the transition for me, right? Like those prayers became like pleas for help, right? Like I started to get in trouble, either with the law or with the school or with my parents or with my own self. Like, and like you said, like a few minutes ago, like, oh, please God, like get me out of this cop car. Like, please God, don't let them press charges, right? Like, and
And that would work every once in a while.
yeah, and I'd have like a whole spiritual moment, like
Right.
God, if you get me out of this, I'll never do this again. Whatever it was, I'll never, trying to make a deal. Like, all right, let's make a deal, God. Like, if you make sure that I don't get arrested here, I swear to God, I'll never do this, that, or the other thing again. Like,
Yeah.
and it makes me sick sometimes thinking about that, right? Like where where my spirituality was like the directionality of it like was like save me, save me, save me, like, and I struggled to even I mean quite candidly, like I still struggle like with this conception, right, of a higher power. For just like a little background, right, like as part of the steps in the program that of recovery that both Mitch and I are working on, like, having a conception and a relationship with a higher power is extremely important, like vital to stay sober and like have a program of recovery. And when I saw that, right, I saw that in the steps very early in treatment. And I was like, nope, not doing that. Like I sized it up and I was like, nope, like listen, I'll get sober. Like you got me here in treatment. Like I'll get sober, that's fine. But like I'm not talking to God. Like, no, I'm not. Because immediately I'm like, okay, well, AA right has like the big book, and I'm like, well, they what? They want me to read this big book, and then they want me to read the goddamn Bible and everything. Like, are you serious? Like, no, like I'm already going to a meeting. Like the meeting is that I'm not adding church on top of the meeting, and like so I'm like I got in my head crazy, right? And, I mean, the long and the short is that like I didn't know that I didn't have to have the relationship with the God of my past.
Hmm.
Like it didn't have to be, the dude with the white beard and the white robe and the cane and the lightning and the
Yeah.
like it didn't have to be like because that's kind of what I had
Me too.
grown up like picturing, right? And that was a big shift for me for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so too. I think like, well, as you were talking too, I had that same picture of that God, like, but you know, I had the more I think about it and the more I come around to it, it's kind of like I had that time 333, and I kind of I did have a sense of the higher power that I have now when I was in addiction. Like I did, however goofy or whatever it is, I did associate that time and seeing that time as a comfort thing for me, which is like kind of weird to say out loud, but like it really was. I'm like if I would be, and especially since I was up a lot at 3:33 in the morning, when I would see it then, if I was like messed up or whatever, like that would be comforting. And I did associate that with my uncle who I'm named after, who passed away. And so that was like my sneaky higher power without me like fully conceptualizing it at that time. So it did become, you know what, it really did like light the torch into my recovery because I had seen that time 333 for so long and associated it with my higher power, which was my uncle, and kind of like a guardian angel thing. And then, when I got on the airplane to go to rehab, my departure time was 3:33. So like that was like very affirming to me and like really tripped me out. Like how I had seen that for so long. It kind of just was like, hey, like this is what you're supposed to be doing. Um, and so that like made it easier for me to get into like the spirituality, at least initially.
Yeah, I mean that's like that story gives me like goosebumps, right? Like and right and it's funny because 2 years ago I would sit here and be like, that's just a coincidence, bro.
Mm,
Like there's even though like it almost like you said, like you knew you had some kind of conception, like I can look back and think in my head and have some certainty that like I did want and crave a relationship, right, with a higher power, but I was so like there was so much self-hate and almost like wanting to be alone, wanting like the chips to be down that I was like, no, I like not believing in God, not believing in a higher power is going to be, a more effective way for me to stay alone, to stay like hopeless, um, and to like continue to feel this sense of impending doom
yeah.
so that I can continue to get high, like, as I choose. Right. And it's funny that, like, I mean, I have my own story kind of similar. Like, I got, when I got out of treatment, one of the first meetings I did, I don't know if I've told you this story before. But and I don't know if my sponsor listens to some of these. I don't know if he listens to all of them, but I'm gonna tell this story anyway, John. Sorry, buddy, but um, it was my first meeting out of treatment, and when I stepped in there, like I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what to expect, and I was like, just nervous and I didn't think I belonged there. I was still having like misgivings, like is this something I want? Like I heard him speak, right? And he's sitting there, he's wearing like his Merrills or his Chacos or something, and his like white socks, and he's leaning back, and he's like totally relaxed, and I'm like sweating, and I'm like anxious, and I'm the complete opposite of this dude, but I want the state of mind that he's got, like, and so I'm like, oh damn, like I should probably ask him to be my sponsor, right? But I didn't ask him, and I was beating myself up for it, and the next day I'm at the grocery store with my mom, and I'm in the parking lot, and I see this guy like three
No way.
cars over, and I'm like, hey John, you were at the AA meeting last night, right? And he's
Oh,
like, yo.
that's funny as fuck, bro.
And people are around and we're in a town, and he's like, yeah, just say like where you I saw you at our meeting last night, like, and I talked to him for a couple minutes, and he kind of looked up, and he was like, I guess something wants us to work together.
Hmm,
And that was like one of the first moments like in recovery where I was like, wow, like I
that's pretty
guess
cool.
something does want us to work together. Like, and that was one of the first moments in my life that like something happened for me that like I didn't try to explain away
Hmm,
and say like, no, it's because I did this, it's because I did this, it's because I put myself in this position, or somebody did this to me. Like, no, like I didn't have a logical explanation as for why I had that feeling the night before. I didn't ask him, and then I saw him.
yeah, that's
Like
crazy.
it was one of the craziest like encounters that I've ever had. But that 333 thing, man, with the ticket, like that gives me goosebumps, dude. Like, cause that's your number, bro. I've known that since the jump.
Yeah, yeah, that one, just like like you were saying, like it's like things like that that can't be explained, and coincidence doesn't even really capture what it was, and it's just like, all right, kind of like just like the real power in it. But I
Mm,
think that the the progression though for me was like a lot of things, and it mirrored a lot of my recovery. One foot in, one foot out. No, like not a full surrender to this power. Kind of like an eye to eye, like, okay, I see you over there. Like I recognize that you're real, kind of. However, uh however, I'm not all the way bought in. You're gonna have to hit me with a couple more of those you know, thunderbolt moments, and so for a long time in my recovery, I kind of used, I changed what I was praying to. Like it was more of now I was praying to this higher power through my recovery higher power, but it was still a lot of asking. It was still a lot of controlling. It was still a lot of like not really understanding the service element. And that was like a
right.
huge transition that I made in the last like 6 months through my sponsor. And like the first time he told me, and even sometimes when he tells me, like I was just applying for a job, or I just had an interview for a job a couple of days ago or yesterday, and my sponsor, we were talking on Tuesday night, and he was like, um, let's do your prayer and meditation before, and I want you to pray to be of service to this job. And like even hearing that now a couple of days ago, I was like, my initial reaction is like, pray to be of service to the job, pray to be of service to the hiring manager or whatever, like what does that even mean? And like the more when I did that, it's kind of just like it will release your expectations. It will release like the pressure that you put on yourself to be like, I need this. If I don't get this, you know, you're not asking your higher power for the job, or you're not
Right.
asking your higher power for this. It's like, take control of my life, and I'm in service to you. And if this is what you would like me to do, then I'll do that. And
Mm.
you'll show me that this is something that you'd like me to do by giving me the job, by giving me or granting me this or that or the other. So that's like a huge transition that I'm trying to continuously work on, because the service element is like a big part of the spirituality that I think can get lost.
I think too, like what you're doing, right? And what I'm hoping to also like be continuously working on is like we're reframing like what it means to succeed
Mm.
like in our lives, right? Like we've through this like conscious contact, right? Conscious contact is like continuously having a dialogue with a higher power, right? And having conscious contact with a God of our understanding, like, and let me make something very clear. Like, I don't believe in the same God that I grew up with. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't, and that's not to say anything against it. Like, that's not to say like that you shouldn't or that you should change it when you get into the program. Like, that's not to say any of that. This I'm just telling you what happened with me. Like, and I sat down with my sponsor. I said, I fucking hate God. Like, he look where he put me. Like, and he said, okay, well, we're gonna work on your own conception of God.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and he read a couple of pages of the Bible to me, but he replaced every time they said Jesus or God or like the Holy Spirit with the word love or a loving force or
Mm.
like a universal loving force. And when he did that, like, and I'm not going to lie and tell you that it clicked right away, but like over time, when I started thinking about it, I was like, okay, like, so God doesn't have to be like this being up there looking and judging me all the time, or like my version of a higher power, like doesn't have to be this judgmental, like fire and brimstone figure. It could simply be like the fact that there is something bigger than me going on, like
Yeah.
on this earth, in this universe, and all of this creation that all it's really trying to do, as I've been explained, is to humble me, like, and to make me realize that I'm not the biggest player here. And in fact, I'm very, very small. And the things that I worry about and pray for, I mean, and get prideful over and egotistical, like those, it's not worth being egotistical over.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
it's you know what I mean?
I definitely do. And like you're saying that humble thing, I heard this crazy thing in a meeting a couple of days ago. This dude was like, you can choose to be humble, or you can be humbled, or you can choose humility. And I was like, initially, I was like, isn't that the same thing? And then the more you think about it, it's like, be humbled. I think we made one of those posts about it. Like, to be humbled is to kind of like have an experience that sets you back, but you're not letting go. You're like, okay, that was a humbling experience, but I'm going to continue the actions that I
Yeah.
was doing, maybe not to the same extent. To choose humility is an action change, is like uh, a character change going forward, not just like something like that. And as you were talking too, bro, like I've had so many, I don't know about you, but I've had so many light switch. I'm a person that needs to be told a thousand, like I need to be hit over the head with something, a concept or an idea 1,000 times for me to be like, oh, you could tell me something 1,000 times, and probably on the thousandth one, this light bulb moment will go off, and I'll be like, oh, you said this. And you'd be like, yeah, bro, I've been telling you that 1,000 times. But I had a light bulb moment at the meeting on Tuesday night after, because like a lot of the dudes, we like talk after outside out of the meeting and stuff, and then go and get food and whatever. And this one guy who lives in like, where did he say? He lives in like Norway or something now, but he used to be like a big part of this group that I went to, and he was just visiting. And he was saying like, my sponsor, this other guy, Muhammad, and I think his name was Steve. We were all just chilling, talking, and he was talking about like God in other people. And once you
Mm.
start to see your higher power in everyone, like if you really force yourself to see your higher power in everyone, you're gonna really start. It's like a massive. a massive change if you really buy into that and really believe that. Because how could you have a resentment against someone? How could you be upset with someone if you see your higher power in them? You know what I mean?
Right.
And I was like, oh shit. Like I wrote that down and I've been writing it down like every day since Tuesday, which is 2 days. But it's kind of just like I thought that was a crazy light bulb moment for me. Like if I see my higher power in you and he speaks through other people or they speak through other people and stuff, like that really kind of takes all of your conceptions of someone or anything like out of it. It's like,
Right.
oh, I needed to have that experience with that person. That's my higher power working through them.
It kind of removes us, like removes from us the ability and like the craving to judge, like, and to be opinionated on
Mm-hmm.
people. Like that's one of my worst defects, right? Is that
Mm-hmm. Me too.
I either I like I'm either inferior to someone and I'm resentful to them because of it, or I'm superior to someone and I'm like judgmental on them because of it. Like, and those are like those four terms, like superiority, inferiority, judgment, and resentment. Like that's a downfall for me. Like, and like you said, if I see in every single person like that I interact with, God working through them, my conception of God working through them,
Mm-hmm.
then how could I ever judge anyone?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
how like as simple as it is, like how could I honk the horn at someone who's driving slow in front of me?
Yep.
Maybe they're trying, like maybe they're preventing me from getting in an accident a mile up the road.
Right.
Like it takes, I mean, and it's a trip at first because then you start like looking for it, right? But like and this was told to me early on too, and it like in terms of removing resentments from me, that's been like the biggest tool, is to be like, all right, like how could I have a resentment against this person if they are God working through a human being?
Facts.
Like, and that's, I don't know, dude, like that when that this whole spiritual journey we're on, right? It's like it's funny because I was thinking a couple minutes ago, like just because of the way that you and I are, right? And the way that like I hope that we continue to progress. Like it's funny because I have plans to continue to grow along spiritual lines. Like it's funny, like when we look back at this episode 10 years from now, you and I might laugh like, damn, bro, we were some spiritual ass infants, right?
I was
Like,
thinking about that.
but I think it's like I think it's important regardless, like the progress that we've made. Like
Yeah.
going from like cursing out God, calling myself an atheist, saying I will never go in church, like these are some whatever, like having opinions and opinions and opinions, to being having the start, like the tiniest start, to be able to like breathe and have a contact with
Mm.
something bigger than me without feeling like I want to question it.
Yeah. Well, you know, like the whole time we've been talking about this, I keep thinking like even when we're talking about growth, and this is like a crazy thing for me because like I had been posting on the page for a while, progress not perfection, progress not perfection, progress not perfection. That's
Yep.
not the line. I said that in a meeting. Sitting next to my buddy Rex, who's like, "Oh, gee, bro, this man he's just come from crazy stuff." And he's just like, when he talks in the meeting, everyone turns, right?
Oh
He's an
yeah.
individual like that. And I was like, progress, not perfection, you know, when I was talking about whatever. And he was like, spiritual. And I was like, what? And he was like, the line is spiritual progress, not perfection. And I was like, damn. I kind of just shut up because like that's the line. It's not progress, not perfection. It's spiritual progress, not perfection. And like the more I think about that, like the spiritual element of our recovery is the thing that fills that void that we were feeling and trying to fill with drugs and alcohol. And it was
Yep.
explained to me like that. Like that void that we had that we tried to like just keep throwing dirt into, and the aloneness. Like, why do you feel alone? You have no conception or connection to a higher power. That's
Hmm.
a big part of why we felt so alone, I think. And like that void needs to be filled with spirituality and mindfulness. And the more that we get into it and the more that we spiritually progress, I think we'll feel less and less discontent.
And like I've been kind of thinking this whole time, like, what do I do like on a daily basis to grow, right? Like, because it's one thing for me to talk about it, but
Mm-hmm.
like, and that's
Action.
what this whole thing is, right? Like, we could
Yeah.
talk about it all day long, but what kind of actions are we taking? So, I kind of want to know from you, like, I mean, you before we even got on this pod, I'm gonna out you real quick. You talked about how you had this, like, you were at this meeting, right? And you were getting some feedback, and it was suggested, that you spend a little bit of time praying and meditating, right? Help you with some stuff going on, and like you have been, and like I number one, I want to know, like, all right, so what are we noticing? Number one, like, and number two, like, what do we say? Because you and I mean, I am, at least, and I believe you are as well. Like, you're a creature of routine.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so what do we do? Like, what do we do on a daily basis
Yeah.
to like continue to grow, like
Yeah.
to continue to make spiritual progress?
You know what? I got into the car on Tuesday night to go to my home group, pulled up to my sponsor's house to pick him up, and we were riding over together. And he was like, dude, he has like the most like soft, like just kind like voice. It's kind of hard to explain. It's just like very like, hey, how are you doing? You know what I mean? Like there's nothing mean about it. Like he's just like vibed out. And he was like, hey man, have you been praying and meditating? Because like the last time we had linked was like a couple weeks prior, and we had went through step 11, which is like prayer and meditation, and like a pages 84 to 88, like that daily reprieve, and the nightly meditation and stuff. And he was like, I was like, no. And he was like, oh, all right, well, I suggest that maybe you try that. And I was like, we started talking about it, and he I was like, yeah, like, I love the idea of all of that, and I was doing it for a week, and then I kind of stopped, and then that directly coincided with me kind of mentally spiraling out in terms of like just not feeling level and stuff. And he was like, there's a um information is not transformation. So like I can read all these books about spirituality and kind of like what you were just saying. I can know all these things about higher powers and what I should do, and like you were just saying, there has to be action there. And so in terms of action that I was suggested to take, it was, literally get on your knees, close your eyes, set a timer for 2 minutes, and this is like intro class to meditation. 2 minute timer, like say your third step prayer, which is one that I really like, through AA, and close your eyes after you say the third step prayer over and over again until you can try to get to like just a quiet place, and then maybe say a serenity prayer in your head and stuff like that, and just start to try to develop that connection. But that's all it is. It's like 2 minutes a day, and see where that goes. And so I did those the last 2 days, and like I'll tell you, bro. If you would have told me to like get down on my knees and pray, like I remember the first time I heard that, I was like, that's insanity. Like I'm
Yep.
not doing that. That people that do that are stupid. Like that's embarrassing. And then the first time I did it a couple months ago, I was like, damn, that was nuts, dude. It's just
Uh-huh.
like a overwhelming like uh surrender.
It's calming, dude. Like,
Yeah.
it's calming, and man, I mean, I get up, right, and I try to pray um every day, like, not for long, right? And these aren't the prayers that I grew up with, not the prayers I was talking about a little while ago. Like, this is like you said, like a third step prayer. This is a serenity prayer. This is, I'm praying for people who I love. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and toot my own horn and give you the whole rundown of how fucking selfless I am, because that's not true. But like,
You're
I
funny.
mean, it's with, come on now. But I am trying to change my perspective. I am trying to alter my selfishness, like, because my
Yeah.
default is selfishness.
Hmm.
And by praying, like, I'm beginning to break down those walls of like being a selfish, self-centered individual, only concerned with myself, wanting full control over what the day is going to bring, wanting to have my routine so neatly buttoned up that I'm not going to miss anything, that every minute is scheduled out. Like, no, like, I got to let go. Like, I have to let go of whatever the day is going to bring. It's okay to have a plan, like, but it's not okay to have an expectation of how the day is going to go.
Hmm.
Like, I can be planned. I think it's wise to have a like a plan for the day, but that plan is gonna get fucked up, and that's okay.
Yep.
Like, and I think I pray for. That's probably one of the most important things I pray for is like the the mindfulness, like the teachability to be able to walk through the day like as like not as it was planned and be okay with it. Like, and that's one of the biggest things that I do like every day. And in terms of meditation, right? Like, I mean, it's funny, right? Because similar things have happened to me recently in the past where I'm trying to learn how to meditate, and meditate meaning like sit quietly and still and like focus on my breathing and focus on getting full deep breaths, like trying to maybe have a mantra in my mind that I'm repeating that's positive, like maybe clearing my mind of everything besides that mantra, like. And I'm sitting there, right, and I'm trying to learn, and I have people who have been meditating for years who are I'm friends with, and they're like they send me like a beginner like guided meditation, or they say this is really good for beginners, and I'm like, what the fuck do you mean beginners? Like, I take so much offense, right? I'm like, I'm so egotistical. It's like, what do you mean beginner? And he's like, dude, like, you are a beginner. Like, you don't do this.
Yeah.
Like, you got to start at the first at square one, the first step here. Like, you can't, you're not gonna hop right into the 45-minute breath meditation, blah, blah, blah. Like, you got to start with 2 minutes. Like, can you sit still for 2 minutes?
Hmm.
Like, and that is so hard, but it's so rewarding, right? When we come out of it, it's almost like you said, it's that surrender.
Hmm.
Like, and having that surrender is damn, like, I didn't know that I was missing that. I've never known what it feels like to truly be still, to
Hmm.
be conscious, but like still. Like, isn't that one of the wildest feelings in the world? Like, 'cause we move. That's what we do.
Yes, sir.
It's
Turn and burn, baby.
it's fucking wild, dude.
Yeah, the that like stillness too. It's like will like it was explained to me in rehab a long time ago. When I started doing like towards the end of my stay at the place I was at, was doing like some chakra work and stuff. And the instructor like put up on the board a slanted line, a straight line, and then like a like vertical line. And it was kind of like when you wake up, like your brain or your vibe, you're not vibe, your
Energy.
energy, thank you, is like all over the place, right? You just woke up. If you're an addict and alcoholic too, I mean, maybe anybody, but especially for us, like we need to off jump. Like it is suggested to get your head back to this baseline flatness so that throughout the day, right? If you get into an argument with your neighbor for stepping on your grass, or if you get cut off in line, or the coffee order's wrong, or whatever it is, like you can much easily handle that. Like it might, if you're straight at that point, it might, tip it a little bit and then you come back to center, right? But if you go throughout your day on a zigzag, then any sort of issue or anything like that is going to zigzag you more. And like that was a good way for me to see it, just because that makes a lot of sense to me. Like not being like trying to get to a neutral, like zened out spot where you can carry on your day and
Right.
put yourself in a position where you can handle things.
It's almost like if we don't start like, because obviously we're coming out of bed and we're a mess. Like that's how I am coming out. Like I'm existential crisis. Like I can't believe all the shit I have to do today.
Yeah.
Why me? Like just terrible questions. And if I don't start the day like at some sort of even keel,
Yeah.
how can I expect to have any sort of peace like for the rest of the day? And I mean, in terms of like how self-care, right, kind of goes with this, because I think this, I mean, this is an episode, right, about spirituality. That's where we're at. But self-care bleeds into spirituality, I think, in most cases. Um, and something that I've been doing, right, and that I've been plugging for a long time, and I've become certified in as an instructor, and something that I very strongly believe in is like concentrated breath work. Like because I'm a my disease and just my personality is that of action. Like I want to be doing something. Even if I'm not doing anything, I need to be doing something while I'm not doing anything. Like that's how it is.
Yeah.
Like so, I'm gonna shout him out. We're gonna get him on the pod soon. His name's Sage. Um,
Very zen
he's
name.
he is one of the like coolest dudes I've ever met. Again, never met. Similar situation with Mitch. He lives on the West Coast. I'm up here in Boston, and so I never met the man. But he is like he has taught me a lot about like finding joy in recovery. He's 6 years sober. He's got a gym called High Vibe Holistic. Um, it's actually really funny. A lot of people will come into his gym and say, "Is this a cannabis dispensary?" because of the name, which is
Classic.
ridiculous because it's like the exact
The
opposite of
opposite,
what he's
right?
trying to achieve.
That's funny.
But um, I mean, his whole philosophy too, and he can explain it way better than I can, but he believes in holistic wellness, right? He believes in like all the separate, entities of fitness and wellness. Like he believes in powerlifting and working out and cardio and blah blah blah, but not just that. Like he does hot and cold therapies. They do guided meditations. They use like the Tibetan sound bowl and like all these crazy kind of like alternative treatments, right? And the thing that when I got hooked up with him and started doing breath work, like I'm an addict. Like I need relief like through the day. I need relief just from living. Like I mean, look back at our fucking histories. Like we didn't really need an excuse to get high. Like it was just living. Like being alive is enough of a misery for me to want to get effed up. Like
Right.
and being alive today is still enough of a task for me to need some relief. Like and the relief I seek now, right, is a lot of it. I mean, it's through, again, different avenues, right? AA and this podcast and talking with people in recovery and physical fitness, whatever. But like this breath work is truly like been one of the biggest gifts that I've been given. And it's tough to explain without doing it, right? And so I can't really do a lot to explain it, but but say that, it's a routine, it's a regimen, and there are a lot a number of different exercises that you can do, like whether it's in the morning to get your intention set, or the middle of the day for a reset, like, or an energizer, or at night to help, get restful sleep and settle your nervous system down. You can go for 10 minutes, you can go for an hour. Like, it's versatile, right? But it's all designed about like getting relief, aligning our nervous system, like establishing a mind body connection. Um, and it's huge. Like,
Yeah.
and the biggest thing I can say it's given me, right? When I was asked this recently too, like, what is it? Like, what's the biggest gift that breath work? Like, what does it give you? Like, day to day. And you know what it does? Like, it gives me, in every situation that I'm in, like, it has given me a 5-second gap between receiving a stimuli, or like something happening to me, or somebody doing something to me,
A
and
pause.
and it has given me a pause. Like, you know exactly what I was gonna say
Yes,
before I
sir.
said it. Like,
That's the
bro,
fucking
how
thing right
important is
there,
that?
boy. So important, bro. God damn. God damn, bro. The pause is nuts. As soon as you were saying that, I was like, pause, 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 pause. And guess what I couldn't do? I couldn't pause. But the dude, this like the OG at this meeting that I go to on Tuesday, like just like if you look close enough, he's levitating off his chair. But he was like, the only thing that my prolonged recovery has given me is a longer pause. And I was like, damn, that's fucking crazy, bro. And like, so to hear you talking about that, and I've always looked up to you when it comes to that. Like, I feel like that's a component that I've been missing, is something along the lines of that. Like, what may like, because for me, in terms of like health and wellness, really, all I've really been doing is the gym. I haven't really. I guess I'm starting to do this meditation, but like that breath work stuff sounds so sick. And as you were talking, I was thinking like, I think it would be cool if you like led. We could do like have a little section of you where you like led little like things here and there, because I would love to. I mean, even off camera, do something like that with you, because that sounds like just something that I'm super interested in, and I think
Right,
that's sick that you do that.
right. And that's like, it's funny, like, the old me, right, would be taking all sorts of credit right now. Like, yeah, look what I do. Like, I'm the fucking man. Like, but no, like, this is a gift that was given to me, like, by somebody who is like, not, I'm not going to say more spiritually fit, or more this or more that, but somebody who has experience, more experience in this life, like, and and has readily, like, given to me freely, like, this tool. And it's, again, it's like, it's full circle with spirituality, right? Like, that's God working through a person, like, knowing that I needed this, bro. If I didn't have this, I don't know if I'd be sober. Like,
Mm.
if I didn't have a pause, like, I might still be sober, but I would have had burned a lot of bridges. Like,
Yes, sir.
a whole lot. Not
Oh
that I
yeah.
haven't burned bridges, because I burned bridges just fine.
Uh,
But I would have had a lot more burned fucking bridges if I hadn't started doing this. And I was thinking too, like, it's crazy to me that I still haven't gotten you on like FaceTime and done that, bro. Like, because that's what I do at Heron. Like,
bro, that's bad.
that's not my only job. Like, but that's a part of it. That's a big part of it. Um,
Yeah,
and
I would love to, bro. I really would.
it's a huge help, dude. Like, and
Like I could,
yeah,
well, I would say if I can incorporate that like into my morning like meditation that I've been doing, like 2 minutes of eyes closed morning meditation, and then something that you give me, whatever, however long, a
quick
little
one.
breath work, like, bro, I'd be fucking floating out of my house. Like, you know what I mean? So I've been looking for something like that. And, you've been sitting across from me for 3 months with that information. So we
And
should
it's
run that.
like, you do need to give yourself credit though, right? Like I'm not gonna sit here and let you just say like, oh, I've only been doing the gym. Like, let's be real. Like a lot of dudes, a lot of people who get sober, like they really don't. A lot of people I know that they don't really do anything. Like
Yeah.
they don't find like the outlet. Like we can't discount how important physical fitness is. Like
Yeah.
like like releasing endorphins, getting good cardio, like even our own self-image, like having body positivity, like self-confidence and like who we are, like that. I mean that's just as important in my opinion. So like again, let's not discount that. But
Yeah.
that's what I mean. Like again, it's the same thing with spirituality. Like I need tools. I need a lot of tools. Like if I'm gonna stay sober, I need a whole tool belt. Like I'm not gonna be able to rely on one thing because if I get sour on that one thing or something changes for me or whatever, like I need to have a backup plan. I need to have a whole nother set like of tools that I can use to keep me in the right headspace, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree. The it's just like this huge ecosystem of tools, like you were saying, like that we are just like surrounded with, and learning how to use this and learning how to use that and what works for you, what, because I'm really big on like everyone recovers how they recover, and like trying to, we're both growing into what helps keep us sober today, personally. And so it's a part of that is trying this, trying that, doing this, doing that. But there are some things that work, you know, kind of across the board for others. And from what I've seen to this point, it's like that spirituality and meditation is something that, and prayer is something that potentially could be constant. But
Right.
I did, not to get like too aggressive with it, but there was this dude that stood up in the meeting and was talking about like, you either like get spiritual or die, and like there was like a guy that, and like I feel like I was getting towards a point of, uh kind of scary to say, but like relapse slash like, uh just a dark spot in the
Yep.
middle of my recovery, because I had just been going so long without the spirituality and the meetings and a sponsor and the step work, and like it was just, I could literally feel it eating me alive, like,
Right.
and wearing away, wearing away, wearing away. So when he said that, I was like, oh, I know exactly what you mean.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's like almost like I mean to kind of like tie it together, I get a text from a very dear friend of mine. He's an Ojibwe Indian. You guys will have to hear his story at another time. He's about 40 years sober. Um,
That's insane.
yeah, it is, dude. He's 85. Um, and he sent me this out of the blue the other day. I almost like I needed like I look at the text messages, like last text is from October 20th. He sent me this yesterday, November 1st. With unprompted. He said, just a reminder, grandson, the Zen you seek on the mountaintop is the Zen that you bring with you. Like, so
Yeah,
like we
that's
can't
profound.
go anywhere else. Like we can't change our external like we could change our external circumstances as much as we want. Like we could get rich, we could get a bigger house, we could get a better car, we could like, but we don't find peace, we don't get right like spiritually
Hmm.
anyway, but on the inside,
Yeah.
like what we bring with us.
Damn, I love that.
Yes, sir.
And you
He's
see
a
on the
smart
mountaintop
dude.
is the Zen you bring with you. Yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah. The well, I guess I don't even know how to, again, I can't compete with that, but I was like, come up with a better line, better line. No. But yeah, that was uh that was awesome. This is a fun, I think, I don't know how we're doing on time. It might be a little early, might be a little late, but uh
I don't think. I mean, we had to stop twice.
That's
God,
true.
I think God was testing me or something.
Oh yeah, talk
Like
about that.
it's ironic as hell. Like my computer decided to like restart itself like 3 times while we've been recording
Yep.
this episode. And every time I've been like, I'm ready to fucking throw something. Mitch is like, yo, calm down. Like, I think your higher power is testing you with something. Like,
Yes, sir. Works in mysterious ways.
oh man, but by my calculations, I think we're around an hour,
Yeah, I think
right?
so.
And human beings don't have that long of an attention span.
Not anymore. Yo, did you see they did like a study on there's like a continuous study on the human attention span, and this year uh they we passed our attention span is now shorter than a goldfish.
That's
The general attention
alarming.
span
So are you
of a human.
saying that a goldfish is now the apex animal?
That is what I'm saying. Yeah. But our attention span, like, dude, if you Google it and look at the attention span over the last like 100 years or whatever, it's nuts, bro. We're like
Well,
under
we
like
we can
seven
thank
seconds or something.
these.
Yeah.
Thank these, bro.
Just that
Jeez.
fast twitch. Yeah.
Maybe if we all meditate, we will lengthen our attention spans.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully, we are talking with Emily. Hopefully, the progression of all this mental health and just information and openness and stuff, we not revert, but we progress back to, getting off the phones, going outside, shit like that, bro. Oh, you know what I do that is kind of like, I mean, it's not anything crazy, but I bought a bike and sometimes I'd be going on bike rides and
Let's
like
go.
leave my phone at the house. Like
We got
that
to
shit is
disconnect, man.
yeah, that shit is
We gotta
beneficial for sure.
disconnect.
But thank you so much, my boy.
This
Episode
is this
13.
this has been a wicked cool episode. I mean, again, I'm so surprised we haven't done it like before, but
Yeah.
it's gonna be funny too watching this in 5 years when
All of them, bro, to be
we're
honest.
both Zen masters. But
We'll see.
I'm proud. I regardless, man. When you can say whatever you want, I'm proud of both of us, man. Like in a good like I see growth, like,
Mm,
and
me too.
that's what we got to keep building on.
Yes, sir.
But
I completely agree with you.
this has been dope as
Yeah.
always.
All right. Well, thank you for everyone for coming back. Episode 13. Um, we will see you on episode 14. Much love. Appreciate it. I'm gonna get back to meditating.
Keep coming back. Love you
Keep
guys.
coming back. Love you.